Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily podcast. Now today I want to mix things up a little because after reading about how a company called Exasol and TurinTech have become strategic partners with two very different stories, I wanted to learn more about the story behind that partnership and also how their worlds collided. In particular, TurinTech's mission is to automate the data science lifecycle and make AI easy for everyone in an organisation, not just the data team. I want to learn more about how the strategic partnership of Exasol and TurinTech brings AI to their customers. But how does all this work? What is the relationship like? What drew these two companies together? Well, today I've invited Mathias Golombek and Dr. Leslie Kanthan onto the podcast to join me to discuss, well, we're going to discuss all this and also data democratization and the importance of making data analytics and AI easy to use and accessible to everyone. And I'm also hoping to learn more about the partnership and how it's helping businesses integrate AI and data analytics in a seamless way. So buckle up and hold on tight because I'm going to beam your ears all the way to Germany. Well, we're going to find out more. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
My name is Mathias. I'm the CTO of Exasol, a company in the RDBMS space or a relational database management system. I'm 44 years old and I have started at that company actually nearly 19 years ago and be very grateful that I've joined that amazing journey from a very small German startup to an international public listed company. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. And we've got not one, but two guests joining us today. So Leslie, could you introduce yourself to the listeners too?
Yes, sure. So I'm Leslie Kanthan. I'm the CEO of TurinTech. I have a background in mathematics, graph theory, and artificial intelligence. Where I did focus my PhD there at University College London in a very similar fashion as well to Mathias. We also spun out our company from research that we were doing both in industry and in the university, and we focus in the area of fast code optimization.
Fantastic. And it seems to me straight away that there's two separate missions here. So can you tell me more about your separate missions at Exasol and TurinTech and the problems that you initially set out to solve for your customers? And Mathias, I'll let you go first on this.
Yeah, so Exasol is providing an analytics database, and throughout our in-memory optimized architecture, we claim to be the number one in the market. So we are the most performing system in that area of analytics databases. What do we solve? Customers who do complex analytics in a high-end environment, many call it data warehousing for large amounts of data, like hundreds of terabytes of data, and they want to get insights out of their data on a larger scale. That means sometimes tens of thousands of data analysts, BI analysts are accessing that data and want to understand the insights out of the data. And Exasol is providing that scalability for our performance. So performance is not just being real-time capable, but also allowing more users accessing that data and getting insights. It's about analyzing more volumes of data and also letting analysts ask more complex questions, which would not be possible in typical legacy databases.
And Leslie, to bring you in here, can you tell me about your mission too?
Yes, so our mission is that we want to be able to optimize all code for both software and hardware. We're primarily focused in this journey and optimization of machine learning model code and machine learning applications. We do this in a very fast, efficient way, and we integrate with companies, and in particular, we have a very close relationship with Exasol, as Mathias mentioned, that they're one of the fastest in the market, and I can tell you a little bit more probably later on.
Awesome. And I suppose the big question has to be, how did both of your worlds collide? I got a feeling there's going to be a story behind this strategic partnership. I'm going to ask you both the same question here because you may have slightly different nuances in your answer. But Leslie, would you like to go first on that from your point of view?
Sure, I can give you a bit of insight on that. So look, a number of different companies, financial institutions and retail, both use Exasol and also use TurinTech with a number of different financial banks, hedge funds, etc. So I guess it's here we've got one of the leading databases, and you've got here now one of the leading model code optimization companies. And the partnership piece for us is that now we can go to market together and we can provide a full ecosystem solution where we're able to provide uniquely model code optimization within memory and database for Exasol and our joint clients. So that means that you never have to leave the database and you can do all your inference and model optimization super fast. And the scalability of that means like just using Exasol is like several, 3 to 5x, but then using our model optimization on top of that can make it 10 times faster.
Mathias, is there anything you can add or anything that you recall on the story behind your strategic partnership?
Yeah, of course. So I think it's a very interesting mix of these two expertise tools. And if you look at data science and the reality in organizations, in many cases, these data science teams and the more traditional data warehousing or BI teams are quite separated in many cases. And so the partnership was really something visionary to bring these two worlds together. So a data warehouse has the advantage that you have already cleansed and very structured data. On the other hand, the data science algorithms you create, the models which you use for predictions and so on, are typically done externally in a different kind of world or systems. And now with the combination of TurinTech, who is kind of modeling, training the models, creating these data science algorithms, and then a deep integration into our in-memory database, that brings actually the data science world to the data analysts in the BI world. So somebody who is, for instance, looking at a BI report, a visual BI report, could use the TurinTech optimized code inside Exasol without even knowing it. That is the beauty of the combination of these two technologies.
And I suspect if we were to go back just 6 months ago, when you mention artificial intelligence to anyone outside of the tech industry, their eyes roll into the back of their head. They've got no interest. Nobody cares. But then, of course, January this year, everyone's talking about ChatGPT. Everyone kind of understands, oh, okay, I get it. These are the problems that it can solve for me. So on that side of things, really, can you tell me a little bit more about data democratization and the importance of metadata analytics and AI, easy to use and ultimately accessible to everyone?
Yeah, I think I can tell you a bit about that. And then, of course, Mathias can give you his input. Look, we do model code generation, and we generate new code before it's optimized. And also after optimization, we do that generation of code. So the whole ChatGPT thing is fantastic. It's given a lot of validation for companies like us that are working in the AI space, because now people can see it. Before you couldn't really see it. It's algorithms that are working in the background. And so what we see is that as more and more AI applications and companies that are involving themselves within the AI space, it's bringing more knowledge to analytics and AI. For instance, now companies have data lakes, they have data storage, warehousing, they're using very fantastic based products like Exasol, for example, and also now us. And in part, this allows them to get insights into the patterns and the scenarios that they have much faster and quicker. So as a result of that, they're able to get more use cases into production. So maybe it's credit scoring. Maybe it's, understanding something about their client. Maybe it's analyzing something to do with their payments, or even if it's a non-financial aspect, maybe it's something in particular regarding like what the client's needs are, what are the kind of fashion that the clients are interested in. You're seeing a whole range of applications across different verticals, from finance to retail to technology. And that's making its way through the mainstream. So more of that is becoming accessible now to everyone. We're seeing our AI applications now on mobile phones for using, generating images, generating videos, right? And, in particular, like, it's not just OpenAI. You've got Diffusion, that's generating these AI images, very close approximations to what you are. It's getting better and better. So as people are starting to use them more, the input for these AI models that are working in the background will improve ever more, and we'll have more and more uptake. Over to you, Mathias.
Yeah, so I would not much to add, Leslie, but what I would add is that AI has been used for many, many years already, more in the background. So people haven't talked about that prominently, but our customers used it for, fraud detection or dynamic pricing models and all these things for many, many years already. I think what has changed now during the last couple of years is the progress in technology, the progress in hardware, the latest GPU developments is just one example, and also the progress in the mathematical science world, and companies like Google and others even publishing open source stuff. And that allows now the businesses to apply data science and analytics more broadly. So that's all about the data democratization you were asking, Neil. It's that more business departments can leverage the power of data, of big data, but also of data science models to take better decisions, to take better predictions and prescriptions in the business. So that's really an exciting time to be.
And there really is a big push in businesses at the moment in every industry about making data-driven decisions rather than just the loudest voice in a meeting room. So I'm curious, for any business leader listening, how can other businesses integrate AI and data analytics in a more seamless way?
Yeah, I think that first is establishing the use cases that the businesses want to solve, right? Whichever vertical that they may be. And then also how that is going to improve their business offering. So, for instance, you see a lot of hedge funds who particularly were using statistics and stochastic-based methods of calculations in their strategies. And now what they see is that in order to improve the accuracy of this, they're looking at integrating news feeds and other external alternative data sources, but that requires a lot of artificial intelligence knowledge and to develop models, and everything is coming down to models. So use case, outcome, and then how do you make it all happen? So we're seeing this across the industry. We're seeing this from other companies outside of the financial vertical, in particular with supermarkets that want to predict food wastage, and we're seeing this as well in logistics companies. So what I feel is that as businesses get to know more and more about collecting their big data and seeing that there's some potential use cases for this data that they have, can they make this into something that's meaningful that can be translated into ROI for them?
Yeah, and I would add from my end, you're talking about seamless integration and what leaders should focus on to make that happen. I think from the top down, it's very important to have a data strategy to really, back that from the top level in the organization. Then the second step would be the data culture. So really fostering a culture where data is embraced and is taken strategically. Thirdly, I would add the skills gap is in many organizations a big problem. So you have to hire the right talent in your organization and create the right organization. Otherwise, you will not be able to broadly get the power out of AI and BI. And finally, what Leslie already touched base on is, you have to understand the business to be able to then ask the right technical questions. So you need, for instance, business analysts working with data scientists very closely together so that you actually find the right use cases. And then maybe a final point is, if you want to create a seamless way, there's a big trend, and especially in the data science area, is to do automated decisions. So it's less about people looking at reports and then taking a human decision. It's more about creating algorithms which are automatically taking decisions for you. For instance, the dynamic pricing is a good example. So the dynamic prices are automatically adjusted. Nobody is touching that. So the whole, advantage is that you are coding something and then you're seamlessly taking decisions and learning from your historical data, applying data science, and then improving your business. And I think that is something where the latest developments in hardware, that scalability through something like an in-memory database you can leverage, and then also the better tools. If you look at TurinTech or other tools, it makes it easier for people applying data science in your business mode.
And because of the current economic climate, I think budgets for any new tech project are currently under scrutiny, and it's all about the ROI and what value will this tech or this tech project bring to the business. So on that side of things, do you have any examples or use cases of the ROI that this kind of approach could bring to a business?
Yeah, sure. Without specifically going into individual customer detail profiles, what I can tell you is that, look, what we're seeing is that the integration of the products that we mentioned in particular, like what you can see is inside of the industry, if they have some data and they have some analytics on top of that, some of those models actually take quite a long time to get into production. But with using faster services like the Exasol and TurinTech's optimizer, some of those models can get into production much faster. So what we're saying here is that you get your analytics and your insights on various different use cases quicker. So if the customer was looking at maybe, let's say, 3 particular use cases that generated some values for X amount of value for the customer, and it would take maybe, let's say, 12 months. Now he can do those 3 in 3 months. So what does that mean he's going to do with the rest of the 9 months? So just on taking averages, like if it's 3 in 3 months, then you're potentially looking at 12 at the end of the year. So that's scaling up your ROI because you're getting more stuff done out there faster and quicker. I guess Mathias would probably have something on that as well.
Yeah, so many organizations, they typically don't share publicly the kind of return on invest of technology, right? But what we've seen in customers is by taking better decisions, in many cases, they save a lot of money, but they are also optimizing their business results. So we have, for instance, a US telco customer, a really big one, and they are saving dozens of millions of dollars every year by taking better decisions in their mobile network infrastructure. We have customers in the e-commerce area where they optimize through the pricing their profits, and it's not just the cost and then the results. It's really the total economic impact a solution does. And throughout a combination of fastest database with Exasol and that code optimization of TurinTech and what we described before, making it more scalable, more accessible, exactly what Leslie described is that agility you bring to the business. And I remember a conversation we recently had in London, Leslie, where you described how, and in your past life, you were a consultant working for banks and doing data science for them. Yeah. And it took you months to do one single job. So he was asked to do something, and then it took him 3 or 4 months. All the data prep and the data cleansing, and then the model training, all that stuff. And now, if you can do that in a much smaller time frame, you are changing actually the agility of a business. You can ask nearly interactively questions to your data, and then you become really data driven.
Yeah, it feels like we've been on such a journey over the last few years. I think originally AI, it stoked a lot of fear in people thinking we're going to be replaced, etc. But now we're starting to understand that we can almost replicate all those mundane, repetitive tasks, automate them, get them out of the way, and then use a tool to enhance productivity, efficiency, deliver value to the business. All the cool things are happening right there. And I'm curious, as people right in the heart of this space, you're going to be monitoring all the latest tech trends. So what tech trends excite you at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So you mentioned earlier in the conversation about ChatGPT. So basically OpenAI, generative AI, automated code repair, code bug fixing, code prediction. And largely you can see all of this involves heavy AI, heavy models. So the excitement for me in that area is more machine learning techniques, more knowledge in this area that we can use to improve existing products and combine them together. Also, what I also like about another trend that I'm seeing as well is that a lot of people are actually starting to use some of this technology that we're seeing. So it's filtering down to consumer users. And as mentioned before, like, you have image generation products, you have voice generation now. So, there's a lot of different use cases for AI, and it's now coming to a space where it's not just generically artificial intelligence. You've got individual sub-verticals within AI. So they range from generation of code, they range to voice generation, image generation, video generation, and all of this, of course, having models involves, integrations and use of advanced fast databases and fast model generation and optimization products that is consuming and also outputting that result to that very same trend.
Yeah, I don't have much to add, Leslie. Maybe the trend of edge AI, where you bring data science also to the devices. I think something like an autonomous car is also a very good example of how powerful these AI algorithms are. And to your point, Neil, many people feel threatened about that. But if you compare it with the transformation the mobile phones had a couple of actually decades already, about 2 decades back then. So we had applications where you had sat-nav, how do you say it in English, in your car, a separate device. You had phone numbers you called to get the information of where's the next restaurant. Now imagine what kind of transformation the mobile devices have done and how useful it is. And that's something I foresee for the AI world now, with all the applications Leslie mentioned in the speech recognition, vision stuff, or the ChatGPT analyzing all the text in the internet and then being so smart and it will not replace everything, but it's such an amazing tool which people are now realizing it's making our lives easier. And I'm very excited about that future. It will not replace us. It will transform the society and also the businesses.
Yeah, 100%. And just to add on to what Mathias mentioned as well, because he reminded me when discussing about edge AI, look, we're getting to the point where ESG and computational resources actually matter. So efficiency is something that is quite important to everybody inside of our industry, and ensuring that, we don't go with spiraling computing costs, which is happening as we are using more power for some of the stuff that we're doing, especially with autonomous driving. So I think that we're seeing a space where, as we're getting more adoption in this, we're also looking at how we can make this more efficient. And this is going to be much more scalable in the environment of what we're doing.
100% with you. And like you said a few moments ago, the important thing is to remember it is a tool, and a tool that can transform absolutely everything that you do. So I'm curious, so I'm going to ask you to look into your virtual crystal balls here. How do you see these trends reshaping the future of the field if you look a little bit further ahead?
So I think there's many areas which we already touched, I think a little bit. It's all about increased automation and simplicity. Things will be much more seamless. You will not even recognize to use an AI, even on your mobile phone or your watch. And that has also to do with what Leslie described as reduced costs. So it is more and more affordable. If you look at what ChatGPT 3 costs just to create that model. Learning the model was like, I read a number, 46 million of computational costs just to create that model once. It's crazy. So that is, I think, is a big trend in the future. And then the hyper-personalization. So creating things and algorithms and solutions which are helping individual people in a much more personalized way. And finally, if it comes to businesses, I think a big trend will be optimizations around operational efficiencies. So not just optimizing your sales revenue or your marketing campaigns. It's across everything, from HR processes to IT infrastructure. Really, that operational efficiencies you can leverage in a business.
Yeah, I think Mathias covered pretty much most of what I wanted to cover. I would just touch upon with including that. But for us, we see that in this space at the moment, everybody's talking about the excitement of ChatGPT and also AI used in prediction. So prediction code, predicting what you developer might want, predicting what you might need to write, kind of the Grammarly that you see in AI.
Yeah.
But what actually people need to also think about, and what we're focusing on, is looking at all your legacy systems, looking at all your legacy code, right? And seeing how we can make it efficient for that particular hardware, right? So that's a big focus for us, because there's a lot of companies out there with existing hardware, and it's not the case that they're going to just suddenly pick up and upgrade one machine, because upgrade one machine means that you have to upgrade hundreds, thousands for potentially a large institution or a company, right? So it's about how they can make more efficiency out of what they've already got using the existing hardware, and adoption of new applications that can help improve that efficiency. So that is a focus for us in terms of reducing the power consumption costs down, reducing battery consumption costs, battery consumption, memory, CPU utilization, and finding new and innovative ways so that we can work with customers that have existing infrastructures on a business side, and not push them to upgrade hardware just so that they can make those efficient changes.
Yeah, 100% with you both there. And as you said a few moments ago, I think the key to getting it mainstream is when it becomes invisible. I mean, my parents, for example, they've got no interest in how electricity works or where it comes from. They just plug something in the wall and it works. In the same token, I think in the future or very near future, things like AI, blockchain, we'll all be using them seamlessly without realizing or even having any interest in that is exactly what they are using. So as we look to the future, though, we are at the beginning of a new year. What is your big focus for next year?
Yeah, so we at Exasol, we launched a SaaS version of our database last year, which is, creating that elasticity in the cloud. And this year we are currently working on providing that also in your own cloud account. And with that development, we will be the ideal solution for companies who want to move to the cloud. Maybe they are still on premise. And we can be that bridge. So we are having the maximum choices regarding the deployment options. So if you have a legacy system, either in the cloud or on premise, Exasol provides you the full range of flexibility. So from an on-premise installation in your data center, from an installation in your own cloud account, but also as a fully managed SaaS environment. And that's very exciting for us because it will kind of, bridge that these worlds and make it possible to run Exasol, the fastest database, analytics database in the market, wherever you want.
Sure. So for us, the large focus for us is primarily we've been doing a lot of machine learning model code optimization generation in that side. Now we're at the stage where we're focusing on doing non-model optimization. So what that means is generic software source code optimization, C++ code that is a lot of developer codes that they have in repos, and trying to see how we can make a significant improvement in terms of efficiency as you're probably aware that, our business has always been in the space of machine learning applications because that's quite a well-known problem, very repeatable. But in the same way that you have, ChatGPT, where it has a very strong model that has taken quite a lot of power and computers to generate that model that is generating the ChatGPT outputs that you are seeing in the portal for the end user. For us, we are building that model continuously, and we've done enough in the machine learning model application space to give us confidence to move more into the non-machine learning model application space. So being able to do this for all source code and hardware-based code. That's our focus, moving in that direction.
Fantastic. Well, I love chatting with you both. We started at the very beginning of your journey. What put you on this path? How you managed to, or how your worlds collided together. And as we've come full circle, I'm going to have a bit of fun with you now and ask you, is there a book that has inspired you on your journey, or a song that just gets your head in the zone when you need to, that we can add to our Spotify playlist? Whatever it is, all I'm going to ask is what you're going to leave us with and why. And Leslie, I'm going to let you, I'm going to put the pressure on you to leave us with the first item.
Well, I was going to tell you a book, but it would be like, AI for Python, but rather than telling you a book on that, I was probably going to tell you something very interesting that happened to me, if that would do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. So I've learned something, especially in business, try to never be late for meetings. I'm trying my best on that. And how this came about is a long time ago, we were meant to meet. We were incubated inside of much earlier on in our journey inside of a financial institution. So normally they have quite a very strong security. So you have to access with a card to get upstairs. For whatever reason, my card was slightly broken, bent. And I had a very important meeting arranged with what I thought was a sales guy from a large tech firm. So I called the guys up in the team and I said, look, can you have a chat with him? Because I'm stuck at security and I had to show them my driving license. And anyway, it was about 20 minutes. Afterwards, I went upstairs. There's a huge board meeting room, right? And I went in there, and because I couldn't find my team, and they were all in the board meeting room. And I went in there, and there wasn't one sales guy from the tech team. There was like loads of people that had flown in from, the US, etc., everywhere. Anyway, it turns out it wasn't actually a sales meeting; it was a meeting for potential acquisition. Obviously, we wanted to work further in our journey. But they wondered, what the hell had happened to me. And that was the only time I remember going in there with my head sweating and apologizing and saying, hey, guys, I'm sorry I was stuck downstairs in security. I didn't know there were so many of you coming. So, I just thought I'd tell you that.
Oh, I love it. And Mathias, have you got an anecdote, funny story, song or book that you'd like to leave us with?
So I would pick a book which inspired me many years ago, and I think it would be worth for every leader to read that. And that is called Built to Last from Jim Collins. And that's what they did is a quantitative analysis research on visionary companies across the last, I think it was even 150 years. And they tried to analyze why certain companies have been more successful than their direct competitors in the long run. So companies who survive not just a couple of years as an exciting startup, but really in the long run over many, many decades. And, the core summary, it is of course complex, but if I have to describe it in one sentence, it's about the yin and yang of identifying and preserving the core, understanding what's really the core of your business, your purpose. Why are you working together as a company? But at the same time, creating and stimulating progress, innovating yourself as a company. And that was very, very interesting. Many, many added anecdotes, how companies have been successful in the long run.
Fantastic. Well, I'll get that added straight to our Amazon wish list for listeners to check out. And before I let both of you go, Leslie, to begin with, can you just remind the listeners of where they can find you online, contact your team, etc. If anyone's got any questions, what's the best starting point for everything?
Yeah, sure. I think visit our website, www.TurinTech.ai. And, we have a contact form and a trial form, but yeah, you can easily reach us out there. And we're also based here in London, right in the heart of Moorgate. So that's the best way to reach us.
Awesome. And Mathias, would you like to leave your website and a few details on how people can reach you too?
Yeah, of course. So if you want to get addicted of performance and the fastest database of the world, go to www.exasol.com. Or you can also reach out to me. My handle in LinkedIn and Twitter is Exagolo for Golombek, so the Exasol Golombek. And you can also reach directly out to me anytime.
Well, again, thank you to both of you for discussing data democratization, the importance of making data analytics and AI easy and accessible to everyone, and also the story behind your partnership and how other businesses can integrate AI and data analytics in a more seamless way, as well as exploring the future of the field and even having time to share a funny anecdote and leave us with a cracking book too. But a big thank you to both of you.
Thanks, Neil.
Welcome. You're welcome.
I'm glad we tried something different today in bringing two guests onto the podcast from two different companies. And I think Mathias and Leslie really brought their stories and missions to life. And this is where I'm going to throw the microphone over to you. Do you have a story that you would like to share? Would you like to come on the podcast? Or do you have a question for me? Whatever it may be. Email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just @NeilC.Hughes. We'll keep this conversation going. And tomorrow, I've got another guest and a completely different topic to explore with you all. So hopefully you'll join me again then. But a big thank you for listening today. And until next time, don't be a stranger.